evening and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and people who identify otherwise for this first round of the SSRI GT3 Championship Season 5 at Paul Ricard. What a great evening we have in front of us for this mighty race on this mighty circuit. I'm Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver. Behind the cameras, as always, our grandpa Chris Hill. Apparently no one is joining me in the commentary booth tonight, so you only have my slightly, well, cranky, maybe some might say whiskey voice to listen to. I am a little bit under the weather with the flu and some running diarrhea, but that will be none of your problem out there. I tell you that. And Jesus Christ, in the comments, don't say, "Oh no, not Oliver, it's me, goddammit, I'll be here for all the tier 2 races." Shame on you guys. May God have mercy upon your souls. Yes, I know, Chris. Although you can't hear Chris in the background, it's just my ears. Maybe it's just a voice in my head. Anyways, I've been told that I have to stall and talk for a lot of time here without any action happening on track. Not a lot of interesting things to say. Apart from it's a short season we're heading into this time around, only 5 races on this calendar. For this season of sprint racing, Paul Ricard, we're starting at here with a 60-minute race. In this race, we'll have a mandatory pit stop. The drivers will have to change the tires in this race. Next time, we'll be heading to Kota on the 30th of January. Sorry for the small hiccup there. On the 30th of January, we'll be heading to Kota for the second round. That will be a different sort of setup with only mandatory fuel, but that will also be a 75-minute race. Interesting to see the strategies play out there. The rest of the races, well, you'll have to wait and see what will be going on there. Although Chris just brought it up on the screen, so I don't have to try to remember this anymore. Third round will be a branch hatch, 60-minute race, same rules as this one. Mandatory tire changes only in that one. Great track. It's sort of a theme that's going on for this season, that it's a lot of tracks that's hard to overtake on, so qualifying will be vastly important in this season. Round 4 will be Bathurst, a track that we'll see a lot of crashes, hopefully. I'm crossing my fingers at least. That's why we're all here, the mighty crashes of Bathurst when we go into the mountain section around that tight and twisty track. Mandatory tires as well, they're only a 60-minute race. Some might say that it'd be interesting if we had a little bit of rain. Maybe our camera guy can do a little bit of a rain dance for that one. And then the final round, the first time in SSRI history that we'll be visiting Valencia for a 60-minute race, tire change as well in that one. It's good to see people in the YouTube chat. Remember to support your teams, yell them out loud. We might pay attention to that and show a little bit of extra of your teams if you remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also remember that in this upcoming weekend we'll be facing our first endurance event of the season. I'll just have another little bit of sip of this beer before talking about that. We'll be starting this endurance season off at the flu thing and the crap. We'll be starting off this weekend with the 10 hours of Silverstone. Third time in a row that we're heading to that track. It will be vastly interesting to see what will happen in that one. A track that most drivers are very familiar with. Rain might be expected. A lot of the drivers you'll see tonight will be racing as well on Silverstone. Some might be in different cars, some might not. A lot of the guys with similar liveries you'll see tonight will be running in the same car. After the 10 hours of Silverstone, we'll be heading to Valencia. That will actually be the first time that we'll be visiting Valencia in SSRI history. Not in the sprint series, apparently. I should probably have read up on this before this event, but hey-oh, you know how it is. Valencia will be round 2, only 6 hours of that track. A great track to race at. I've actually had a race win there in a different community event, not in SSRI, but I've actually won at that track. That's going to be interesting to see how the untalented motorsports guys are coming along in that one. After Valencia, we'll be heading on to Spa-Francorchamps for 12 hours of racing. One of the races that I'm looking forward to personally, where I think that I might have time to drop into the commentary booth as well. So shame on you guys, you don't want me to be here. You can actually go directly to hell, as I'll be getting another beer in my hand from my personal supplier of beer named Kevin, who's just sat here silently in the background. Yes, beers are very, I mean, adult beverages, we can't say the other thing on a live stream, obviously, are very helpful when you have the flu. After that, we might not, depending on the DLC release of the much anticipated Nordschleife. We'll be heading on to the 24-hour race at the Nordschleife. Stop commentating on beer in the chat. I'm getting distracted. We'll be heading on to the 24-hour race of the Nordschleife. Interesting to see if that will be released in time. We all cross our fingers for it, as that will be a highly anticipated event that will involve a lot of crashes and a lot of drinking from a lot of teams. I mean, adult beverage intake, obviously. 8 hours of Indianapolis after that. Fun track, some might say, others might say boring. Personally, I like the track. Not everyone in the community feel the same way about it. Not much to say about that one. Interesting with the sort of quarter oval that will be run there. Then Stanford heads into the endurance calendar for the first time. 6 hours of that track. Not the most common ACC track to have used for endurance races, but hey ho. Anything goes really. Tire management will be a key factor on that one, but that we won't have to think about until June. So hey, we got time to practice that. Maybe we'll get it right. Just about on time for that one. As Chris can probably find some more interesting things to show apart from our endurance calendar in just a few seconds. I'll be having another sip of beer. I mean, adult beverage, obviously. As Chris Hill are telling me that there are slight technical difficulties, although I wasn't supposed to say that live on the stream. Hehe, shame on him. But everything will be working on time for this event. Nothing interesting, interesting things will happen, but nothing unfortunate will happen to the drivers. They have just reloaded into the servers. We'll be heading into qualifying in just a few seconds if Chris will catch up on the actual stream, as I'm trying to find the correct window once again on my PC. Great views of a very interesting chicane on the track, even though that in this race we'll just be going straight through it. Would have been fun, some might say, if we could have opted to take the chicanes. But yeah, the long straight on this track will be quite interesting to see how the drivers will handle that on the first lap. As we saw a little bit of an incident in Tier 1, not broadcasted on the stream, but after the race, the stewards had a little bit of look on a few interesting situations on that particular straight. You would think it would be easy not to crash going in a straight line, but apparently not. Apparently not. The people out there using Windows might also have seen this track on their starting screen on their PC, as this commonly pops up as a starting picture on Windows browsers. Fun fact. Not that I have a lot of those for tonight's race. You are welcome to share in the YouTube commentary with some fun facts that we could maybe share here. We know that that Wild Things Racing are racing once again in our community. We saw them in good force in the Tier 1 with a race win and a front row lockout from the two drivers there. Unfortunately, I was racing myself and didn't pay much attention to what was happening in the front, as I was quite far in the back of that race. But tonight we'll see the old pink car of Denise Pope in a Porsche. Great to see the Wild Things liveries on the track, as they are community favorites, at least one of my favorites on the track, and the classic Nissan being raced by Richard Prixley. Interesting to see the Nissan selected by any drivers. Actually, if I was in Tier 2, I would have picked it as well. I think that Craig Hill is also running the Nissan, if I'm not mistaken. I hope that we'll see some pictures of those two cars during the races. They are quite rare to see on track. I believe we have a singular Honda as well, being driven tonight by Dmitry Schenk. Dmitry Schenk, who often chooses to drive some of the I would say, lesser chosen cars. I wouldn't say bad cars as per se, but lesser chosen cars in the community. Hey, yes, we have live pictures on board Bart. That was great. Now I don't have to improvise crazy talks anymore, as they are just finishing out their final practice sessions or final laps of practice. No, we're actually live in qualifying. My mistake. Anyway, is Honda on the track? Yes, it does have a minus 32 BOP or something like that. I'm actually not sure myself. I could check it up rather quickly if I'm not mistaken. By just hovering over this, it's minus 31. Shame on you who said minus 32 in the YouTube chat. That's not true fact. It's minus 31. As we can see, some drivers warming up their tires in the background, following Bart around here on the first lap out. None of them are currently on a hot lap, as they have just left the pits, trying to get everything ready and set for this event coming around. This is a corner, the end of the Minstrel Straight, that we'll see a lot of track cuts on during the this qualifying session. Also in the race, that's a place where you don't want to be extending too much, as 3 track cuts will mean that you'll get on the final warning before you get the drive through. The 4th track cut will obviously be the drive through. Ooh, close to contact there on the outlap. Not that often we see that. But anyway, it's a track that that's commonly known for, well, acquiring people the drive-through penalties. Not something that we will see throughout the season. Or actually, when heading to Kota and Valencia, drive-throughs would be a main talk as well. But anyways, Paul Ricard, we on tonight. As Bart starts his flying lap, coming down into turn 1. That's a tricky pit exit. We have informed the drivers before the race that when you're coming on to the track, that you have to stay behind the white line. We have seen in tier 1 that people chose to go off track to allow people on a hot lap to get the best possible run into turn 1. We'll see if the people, or the drivers I should say, here in the second tier will do the same. But we are running yellow flags being waved around the track. Someone's already off and have been it. I think that was Craig Hill, not to be mistaken with Chris Hill. Behind the cameras, doing a good job. Another car parked out there in the background. Fun fact about the Hill surname: all drivers who have ever entered an F1 race with the name of Hill have won the championship. So if you're named Hill, then you should probably consider doing that as a profession. As we're currently following Carl van Horn of the Astro Racing team. Carl are one of the drivers that we have been used to seeing in the second split of SSRI for quite a while. That's not meaning by any measures that he's a slow driver. He has had some great performances throughout the years that we have seen him driving around. Usually we see him in this Aston Martin. For some reason the livery haven't loaded upon his car, but he is one of the obviously the Dutch drivers. Great liveries normally from these guys. Not to do any stereotypes of the Dutch people. If we were, we would have mentioned something about drugs. I mean, funny tobacco. Speaking of Dutch people, Anthony Horse in the picture, a guy who have probably been drinking more beers than me. Currently, now he just got beaten by Frank Hopp, but he was the fastest guy in the qualifying before that. Though Frank Hopp beat him and gone down to the 1:54.3. Great lap time from him. The 54s, we are likely to see that beaten during this qualifying session. Though it's only the second tier of SSRI, it is not the time that we expect to be the pole time. Not that I could have done any faster under any circumstances, but great lap from him. Just need a little bit of beer there. We might see later in this qualifying session that some of the teammates, like the Wild Things Racing or the CBSR team, trying to do some slipstreaming tricks down this long back straight, the Minstrel Straight. As we're following Anthony Horse coming into the fun corner here. It's just a slight tap of the brakes and then turning in, not using all the track. You can see the 3 markers on the outside, the white boards with the red line through. That's the track limits, as he's going very close to track limits. That good turning in there from the Mercedes. It's actually a fun thing to see the Mercedes not being chosen by that many drivers in this split. It's an easy car to drive. It's a little bit different from the usual mid-engine cars to drive with the front engine. Obviously, in the Mercedes, you have to be very patient with the car. It's a little bit understeery as most front-engine cars are, but it also shares a lot of traits with the mid-engine cars, which makes it a very fun option to drive. I'll be taking control of this later on in the season, as Anthony Horst will be crossing the line, going up into second. Very close, only 40 thousandths of a second behind Frank Hopp. Frank Hopp, who did such a good job early in the last season. As we follow Frank Hopp here, I think he's on an improvement of his current lap time coming through. Yes, he did improve now into the 53s. This is a time that's going to be hard to beat, as a driver that I'm not going to pronounce the name of as of yet have put it into second on the grid. An AM driver actually pulling that off. Wow, good job by him. Priatko. I'll just call him Priatko. That funny name driver. That might be the thing. The 272 car now of Termelin onto the start-finish straight. Coming on into 10th position. Reasonable time from him. As he is continuing his runs here, he might not have had full tire temperatures as of yet. For some drivers, it might take a few laps to get that. Aaron Van Doren, he might have gotten a little bit of slipstream there of Frank Hopp. This could be a great lap from Van Doren. I know that you only see him as Aaron Van on the timing balls on the sides of your screens out there. That's because that's the vehicle that he chose to have his beer delivery done for tonight. As people who are new to the community might not know the CBSR. Ooh, big power slide there from Van Doren. As people might not know in this community, Van Doren and Anthony Horst, also great liveries they are running. One of my personal favorites. They are famously known for being super drunk when driving, which is why we might see a few mistakes from them. I remember an endurance event where, well, Van Doren was parked in the mountain section of Bathurst, and he, well, I don't know the story exact, but I remember him saying that he misunderstood the clutch and the brake pedal, and that's why he couldn't find the throttle of the car, so he couldn't get going. Unfortunate for him. Coming across the line, still P7 though. Just behind his teammate of Anthony Horst. A little bit unusual to see Van Doren behind Horst, but we'll wait and see. Down to worst, we're following here with the Audi liveried McLaren. Currently P2 in AM class. Also a great livery that he's riding. Not the only Audi liveried McLaren that we'll be seeing on the SSRI YouTube channel throughout the season. Coming onto the start-finish straight. Looking at his time, big improvement up to P5 there from Wouter Wins. Good driving there. Good to see the McLarens doing well. Ooh, someone's really going out of his way to get out of the way of Wouter Wins. Dimitri Schenk, we're following now up on his time. Could be a good one. A little bit surprised to see Richard Prexley not further up the field of his current position, though he is in the Nissan. That could be the explanation why he's not challenging for pole position at the minute. As my good friend Kevin is just sat in the background saying absolutely nothing, looking into an empty beer can. I need to say this on stream so everyone knows how much of an alcoholic he is. Obviously, I hope his wife is watching, as she is thinking that he's just out with grocery deliveries or something like that. Dimitri Schenk, start-finish straight, across the line he goes. Improvement of one position on the grid so far, 10 minutes remaining of qualifying. As he was bailing out. Peter Brooklyn, yellow Audi livery on that McLaren. P16 at the minute. Good to see a few cars using different colors than just the standard black and white and red cars that we most commonly see in races where people can make their own liveries. The yellow car will really pop later in this race. We'll not be in doubt when we see him. As I also think Denise Pope is running a fun livery of a purple car. I actually think we just saw her there in the background in the pit lane. Speaking of Brooklyn P14 at the minute. If I'm counting correctly, he's 4th in class as we are speaking. Parker also with slight improvement there, coming up to P15. Parker famously known for being the drift Mercedes last time we were racing around this track. For all those people out there, Steve Parker we're looking at here in the beautiful, beautiful Ferrari. One of the drivers who have chosen this, more chosen in Tier 1 than in Tier 2 for some apparent reason. Might be because that the fastest guys could put it into top positions in the first tier. Steve Parker, yeah, a guy who normally puts in a ton of practice for these events. The effort that he's putting into practicing and racing these races must be respected. This also proves that even if you think you're slow initially when you start racing on a track, practice makes perfect. And practice is what makes you able to drive on a competitive level. Oh well, some people just have it naturally, like the man behind the cameras, Chris Hill. But Steve Parker definitely does a lot of work to get everything sorted before races. Such a lad and such commitment that he's putting into sim racing. Good drive there, very close to track limits though. He saves it and keeps it on track. This corner particularly I've had a lot of trouble with locking the rear brakes and spinning out of, because of my very rearwards brake bias on this track, trying to optimize speed around it without changing the bias too much. Parker doing a good job keeping the car within track limits, still within track limits. He's actually just hovering right about personal best at the minute. He could be improving as he's coming onto the line, depending on how his final corner was on his previous best attempt. Looks like he's slightly up on his time. I'm not sure yet as he's coming to the line. No, doesn't look like an improvement. Unfortunate for Steve Parker. 7 minutes to go. I think the people that are in the pits now that will be leaving shortly will be going out for their final runs, their final attempts on qualifying. Remember that there's a tire limit that these drivers have for these events. I think it's about 15. As my friend Kevin just smashed his head into a light bulb. Ja, I hvert fald. As he's leaving in the background as we have run out of beer, except for the one that I'm holding in my hand. A bit unfortunate as I won't be as strong as usual for these events. I mean adult beverages, and as... well, no child-friendly word for that. Some good beer still. 3 drivers without a time yet in this qualifying session. It is a tough track with track limits. It's Olsen, a guy that I'm not naming the last name of until I absolutely have to, and Van Dryle. Van Dryle, we have seen it for also a long time in the community. Good driver. Usually towards the midfield of the second tier. In general, he could be, if he does get a lap in, he could be about, well, around top 3, top 4, top 5 even for the aim class. Olsen puts in a time P26 on the grid at the minute. Not too shabby for him. He's still ahead of Tim Nyborg. At this minute, the Audi seems to struggle a bit around this track. Unless if you're a McLaren with an Audi livery, of course, then it's all nice and dandy. Prudiak half a second up at the minute. This could be operational pole. It is operational pole. 153.6. 2/10 up on Frank Hub. Good job there. He'll be returning to the pits and putting on some fresh and sleek, what is it, Pirelli tires that these cars on? I think it's Pirelli tires. I'll just say it's Pirelli tires, not that we're sponsored by Pirelli, but we would like some money from Pirelli if they wouldn't mind offering a bit to us. Sleeker tires at least on that. Milan Dumas, also a driver that we'll be expecting, at least from previous results and previous seasons, to be competing for a championship this time around in the second tier. In the silver class. Reasonable driver he is. Done a good couple of races last season, though. I do believe he did struggle a little bit with the wheel-to-wheel racing, and that's why he's still stuck in this particular class. Fast driver, as per usual, very close to track limits. That taking full advantage of the track. Good turning through this particular corner. Ooh, a little bit of a slide though. Still a good drive. He is up a little bit on his provisional best or previous best, his current best, as I should say. Sorry for messing up the words. I am a little bit ill, and the beers totally didn't help on that. Nevertheless, the 68 car of Milan Dumas. Around the final corner we go. Start, finish straight. Just an improvement of 2/10 would put him up, though it does seem like that he lost a little bit in that final corner. Milan Dumas across the line, he goes P2. He did improve 47 thousandths of a second. 47 thousandths of a second behind. Onto Bart we go. BMW driver, reasonable driver as well. We've also seen him around for a few seasons. Moving up and down the field, depending on the challenges that he's facing. He's normally quite available to overcome them. I feel like we've seen him quite a bit in the past couple of years in the Aston Martin, but yeah, this time around he goes for the BMW. Not that different of a car, still front engine, still roughly the same characteristics of the car, though it's still completely different to drive. I must say, I have driven both of these cars, not the same at all. But within a reasonable spectra, he could have gone mid-engine and been completely off. Across the line, he went P4. Some support out there for Sinkelins, I see, who's currently P5 in the Porsche. Also, fun fact that top 6 are all different manufacturers in this qualifying session so far. 2.5 minutes to go. Following Sinkelins here, we see a lot of support for him out there in the chat. Keep yelling out your favorite drivers, maybe even numbers of the cars. That might even help our cameraman Chris Hill even more to get the correct driver shown on stream. Numbers would be preferred, I'm told, in the background, except over names. But Sinkelins here, D.VA Racing. Probably an abbreviation for something. Maybe you can tell me in the chat what that stands for, what the abbreviation means. It would be such a good thing if I had a co-commentator, so I didn't have to speak for almost 2 hours straight. Anyways, racing VR. Van Duren, number 13, is being mentioned by Jan Barf. He wants to see his good friend Carl van Horn, but we are currently following Aaron van Duren. I was just about to say Anthony Horst. I don't think he's on a hot lap at the minute, if I'm not mistaken on my timing sheets. But oh wait, it just updated. He's a little bit up on his best lap time. Actually, I think my timing sheet is a little bit off, to be honest. On mine it shows that he's no. That's because I'm following the wrong driver. That could be the problem. I'm new to having this timing sheet. Normally it's the same Piers who does this. I'm just sat there being drunk and telling some random facts about what's happening. No, my sheet says that he's not up yet, but Chris Hill confirms that he is currently up on his lap time. We would like to see him do a good job of this, as he is a community long-standing member. Both of the CBSR drivers are active members and have been doing a good job. Half a minute left, so he'll be starting his final lap down. P5 for the Mercedes drivers, 2 Mercedes in the top 5 at the minute. He's pulling over, he's done for qualifying. Carl van Horn we are following now. P13 at the minute. Oh, sorry, driver car number 13, P24 at the minute. It's a little bit disappointing to see Carl all the way back here, but the new BOP might not have helped him that much with the Aston Martin this season. It's all new to SSRI. We're running the LFM BOPs to the cars. Some people are for it, some people are not. Personally, I think it will bring the cars closer together. Carl's still doing a good job on his current lap. Interesting to see what will happen when he goes across the line, but it will be a good, well, roughly 45 seconds to a minute. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's about a minute from this point on the track. Through the final corner, the Minstrel Straight. I'm just pretending. I think that that's the name of the straight. I feel like it is. Someone in the YouTube chat could probably tell me. And Chris Hill is trying to correct me, but I couldn't hear what he was saying because, well, who cares? Yes, I see that. I actually know who you are, but I'm so tipsy that I can't remember your actual name. But I know who you are. We used to talk, and I think Dijon, Justin Dijon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that must be right. I have good memory. I'm sorry, Justin. I normally remember you. One of my good friends in sim racing. To be honest, I like this dude. Good driver, fast driver in the first year. Richard Prixley, one of the few drivers still out there on a flying lap in the Nissan, doing a good job in the Nissan. No, he's not. He finished it as we are done with qualifying. As I'm hoping that my sheet will update correctly for the grid order. A lot of things is happening and yellow stuff is happening, and I really don't know if it's going to update correctly. I might open some different apps to see if okay, so I've just been told in the background that this sheet is not updating correctly at the minute. I will just go check somewhere if I can find the correct information. Sorry about this. I'm not yes, Chris, I did do the thing. Yes, I have a voice in my head. I'm just trying to find the correct things. I'm trying to search the wrong things on Google now as well. Find pit wall. It's not supposed to be live timing. It's supposed to be pit wall. That should be obvious for someone who's into computers and stuff, but I'm not. As Chris Hill is mentioning some good information that there's a live link to the... I just have to minimize something on my screen here. There's a live link in the ACC bulletin board to the Pit Wall app that could be used for people interested in following their favorite drivers a little bit more closely. As I feel like it's correct, though I only have abbreviations of the name, so it will be somewhat of a slow pit walk, as I'll have to figure out who the correct drivers are once we get there. As Chris will probably inform me when it's time to do that, as I'm also trying to find the correct things to have open on my PC, so I won't start commentating off the YouTube broadcast once again. Totally didn't happen before. Alright, it did happen before, but hey-ho. Hey-ho. So, interesting qualifying we've had so far. Good mix of cars in the top 10 at least. Not that one-sided as expected weather forecast for the race, even though that we're seeing a little bit of rain on the screen. It should be all sunny and clear, if I'm not mistaken. Paul Ricard would also be a little bit tricky in the rain, not too tricky. Pardon me, sorry. Some might say it takes a part of me. Apparently we're not getting a chance to get the grid walk, so I'll just be mentioning the I'll just be mentioning the how the drivers are lining up on the grid without the live action shots of Chris Hill, as he's a little bit ill as well behind the cameras. It will be a little bit slow, as I'll have to move my mouse cursor slowly down over some names. Priatko on pole position. Chris, you can remind me if that's correct. In the background, I feel like that's correct. Rounding out the first row of the grid, Milan Dumas in P2. You don't have to remind me anymore, Chris. I think my information is correct. I have a lot of voices in my head. One of them being Chris Hill, as you can probably feel in the background. It might also be a ghost. Row 2 of the grid, Frank Hobb and Bart Swearing, I'll just call him Bart for the remainder of the season. Row 3, Aaron Van Doren. And of course, Mick Shingelins. I know that a lot of people out there in the YouTube chat would love to hear his name mentioned a lot of times, so I hope he does well. Row 3, Wouter Vince and Parties. Row 4, Anthony Horst and Richard Prixley, the Mercedes and the Nissan. There, both of those drivers I expected a little bit more from, though Prixley in the Nissan. It is understandable why he's not further up. That rounded up the top 10, 11th position. Trimlin, 12th. Digori, yes, I'm going to butcher a lot of names throughout this season. Sorry about that. 13th, Cohen Geens, and Dimitri Schenk lines up alongside him in 14th position. Our lone Honda driver, Wouter, a lot of Wouters in this championship as well, so don't get them confused. Wouter Blisma in the 15th position. Alongside him goes Craig Hill, not to be mistaken with Chris Hill, Damon Hill, or any of the other Hills throughout racing history. A bunch of McLaren drivers coming in now. Jesse van Dryle did a good job of improving from not having set a time halfway through qualifying and finishing up in 17th position on the grid. Peter Brooklyn in 18th. Frans van der Linden in 19th position. Steve Parker, the drift king of the Mercedes, lines up in 20th position, rounding out the top 20. Dominic Chaumont in P21 and Denise Pope lines up beside him. Denise Pope, one of the more, I would say, famous drivers in the community. She does a lot of good liveries for the Wild Things Racing team and sort of the team principal of that team. Bit surprised to see her not further up the grid, though. I don't think that she's been racing that much on ACC throughout the last couple of months or half a year, to be honest. I know that they're doing a lot of iRacing stuff with that team as well. They might be doing the Daytona 24 on the weekend, though that's not one of our community things. Don't watch that. Tune in to watch the 10 hours of Silverstone instead. Alongside Denise Pope, we'll have Carl Van Horn lining up in P23. P24 is Nadia Baloso. Yes, I'm dead sure that I nailed the pronunciation of that. With Johan Huben alongside him, or her, hard to say. Wouter van der Weert in P26. Ferrari driver, I think it's the second to last Ferrari on the grid. The last McLaren on the grid. Jesus Christ, stop having terrible names to pronunciate. Daniel Trambaglio. I'm going with that for the rest of the season. P27, P28, Parker Olsen, easier to pronounce. Tim Nyborg, a bit surprising in the Audi, all the way down in P29. Mark Brockhoven in 30th position. And 31st and rounding up the grid, Sandro Busch. Funny to see the two Audis being chosen, both in the bottom 3 of the grid, as we are on the formation lab, and I didn't even pay attention to that, which means that we might have missed our opportunity for a perfect track guide of the track. Nevertheless, coming down the Ministerial Straight, we don't see a lot of weaving from the drivers so far. I know the YouTube chat is going all in there for the good pronunciations. Remember to show some likes in the chat. There's a few drivers in the background going for some weaving and the driver off track as well, just for the sake of it. I like to see Britco using one of my favorite liveries in the game from Standard Liveries, the Mad Panda Motorsports livery. An aim driver on pole position as well. We have seen that quite a bit throughout the years of SSRI, that people have been sandbagging maybe a little bit too much in pre-season testing. But hey ho, nevertheless, Britco in pole position. I think that Milan Dumas also did the same thing and dominated a season a few years ago in the second tier before we had these massive grids that we're fielding today. We are getting close to seeing the two wide formation going on. I think they are bunching up now and going two by two to get the starting order correctly. It is very rough starting in the back end of the grid on this track, as they will actually be getting the very back of the grid. They will only just have cleared the final corner when we go green around here. Ricard, I'm definitely going to butcher your name many times this season, and due to the fact that you're on pole position for this one, I feel like we'll be mentioning you quite a bit throughout. He is a little bit lucky having a Ferrari next to him. The Ferraris are normally not the best on the start. Acceleration out of the low gears and low revs are not the best thing for the Ferraris. If Andrew Bradco is not leading coming into the first corner, I would be very surprised. Very easy to see Denise Pope in the background in the pink Porsche. Also the Audi liveried McLaren, the yellow car back there, stands out. As we are racing, ladies and gentlemen, I totally missed that. Great start from Friatko, getting the best of that launch. Frank Hopp challenging for P2. Actually looks like he will get P2 before coming into the first corner. This could be horrible for Milan Dumas, as he's being challenged by Aaron van Doren as well on the outside. Friatko getting away quite nicely there. No incidents so far, no yellows showing up on the grid. Big action further down, mixed singlings here. Coming into this corner, someone goes wide, they're missing the breaking point. He might have had a little bit of a tap there. We're seeing that there's some slide there from Tehorst in the background. Safe rejoin, they're using all the track. Big singlings will have to defend from the McLaren behind, and Richard Prickly, that easy to recognize. Nissan in the background coming down to the Minstrel Straight for the first time. So far clean, no yellow flags. I know that I'm putting the commentator's curse on this, that someone will probably be murdered in a few seconds. Side by side action going on further up. A lot of draft here. We see the Nissan here coming in. This could be free wide in just a few seconds or a few moments. As we go free wide, who will pull out this one? It seems like the Porsche have been overtaken. McLaren moving in for the apex. Richard Prickly's hanging on there on the inside, making the double overtake. Slight contact. Looks like though they both keep it on track. Prickly makes up a few positions there. Good driving from him. It looks like he's up to P7 at least. At this time, P6 he might even be into. I think it's P6. What a drive from Richard Prickly there, coming down the Minstrel Straight the first time around. Schenkland's in the easy to recognize Porsche as well in the background. I like to see these fun colors, the purple and white car. Tehorst looking at here, some NASCAR formation 2x2 further down we're going. Narrow line through the final corner. This could lose him a little bit on acceleration, though it looks like he did keep the Ferrari behind of parties. Coming there, good to see. No yellows so far. A lot of cars in the start. Almost think we had all the cars in the field on start finish straight there. Not as aggressive driving as we saw in the first split. Good to see. Those second lap could be different. We see a little bit of a move, just a position just coming out of camera reads now. As I feel like that's Tremblin who loses a position there to Dragri, and he's losing another one. He might be doing there. Is that Van der Linden? Hard to say no. I think that's Wouter Winston who also got that position, as Van der Linden is back here on 13th. Still a good job. Tehorst didn't get the best of that. That starting procedure down into 12th position at this minute. If I'm not mistaken, he might actually be in 11th. That Partis that's in between Van der Linden and Torst. It is Partis in between these guys. First race of the season, still trying to learn the liveries of the cars. They might even change route. Van der Linden, the classic sim racing Holland livery as well. A livery that we have seen a lot over the years. Not something that sticks to your mind as per se because of the dull grey colors, but a lot of track cuts being handed out there, definitely. But definitely a livery that, if you know the community, that you have seen around a lot in a lot of races. Big scrabble here for positions. That's Partis, the Polish driver, with Anthony Tehorst and De Gore as well. Coming in here, getting in close here. That corner in particular, I've had some issues with in the McLaren. Taking either too much of the inside curb or getting too late on the throttle. Partis doing a good job there. The Ferrari, Van der Linden is hanging on to the back of this. He might just be scouting out the opportunity, staying close to the cars ahead to try and grasp some free positions. Remember, there are no pit windows in this season. You could be taking the pit stop very early in this race, but then you would have to struggle with the tires for the rest of the race, as you do have to drop the tires in the pit stop. Big bunch up here around the woods. We're following in the Honda, who seems to be driving a little bit of a train. With a few cars behind him. Though it's still early in the race. Only 4.5 minutes into the actual action of this one. So I must say Prixley already up into 6th position, though. This could be the time for Blitzmer down the straight to show what the Honda got. Getting a good exit there, using all of the track. It looks like he actually cut the bullets on the outside there. That could be a track warning if he's not careful. At least it's in Valencia as he cut that. I think it would be a track cut as well. Nevertheless, he's keeping his foot in too wide further up the field. I think that must be Craig Hill and Van der Linden. And Frans van der Linden, I should say, as there's also an Iron in the community, though I don't think he's racing tonight. Big off there. Ooh, contact! That's Van der Linden who's being sent by there. He did go off the track there. Not the best of rejoins into that one. We have seen him struggle a little bit with being involved in some silly accident. Usually not his fault when he's involved. That one could be difficult to judge for the people out there who have to do that. Might be a rough job for them, and that's Blitzmer and the Honda that have gone through the track, who have cut a little bit there. He must have been taken out or spun out or something in that one, losing a lot of positions in that moment. Some YouTube chatting also going around, but maybe Chris Hill can get me that in the background of my ears, as I'm way too tipsy to keep notice of that. Big pile up further down, big bunch of cars, a few positions behind the cameras. We're still following around to Blitzmer into turn 1. I see I've lost out big time on that one, dropping down into 19th position. Jumping straight back into to the action here. Dimitri Schenk trying to pull off the move on that would be Craig Hill. Difficult call to get it done at, but Craig does leave a lot of room there for Dimitri. Good and fair sportsman driving there from Craig Hill. Not choosing to get too much of the wheel-to-wheel action. Ooh, good cutback he's getting on here. Dimitri forced wide. Craig Hill definitely have the run on this one. But can he keep within track limits? He actually does now. It's a drag race down the Minstrel Straight. Ferrari versus McLaren. Though the Porsche in the background of Chaumont might be making this free ride. No, he won't, but that seems like it's another McLaren that's pulling out there. This is true NASCAR racing. No bump drafting though. Free wide, could it maybe go 4 if the Porsche ups for it? This will be interesting heading into the Minstrel corner at the back end of the straight. No, late send there as the Porsche of Chaumont gets sent wide by, I think that was Jesus Christ, Trump, some Italian guy at least. That could have ended in tears, but hard to say what happened there. Big old yeet there, as mentioned in the YouTube chat. Big train still following up here. 10 minutes into the 8 minutes into the race almost. Still big formations going around here. Interesting to see if anyone will opt for an early pit stop to try and get out traffic and just drive their own race. Not that many crashes that have involved the apparent necessity of boxing in. The drivers have been told that they will have to obey the white lines and pit entry and exit before this race, which can be a little bit difficult here out of the final turn of Paul Ricard, as it's still the old layout. Big send in the background there. That was the Porsche of Chaumont once again in good action. I think he made the move there on Steve Parker, it must have been. Though Parker does get an opportunity to make a decent run out of turn 2. But he does look like he concedes that one for now. Or at least for the time being. He could come back in this one later on. It could also have been Olsen, but I'm not entirely sure who's who in this mix, as there are a lot of cars within a small area of space. I actually feel like that was Olsen. Might have been Olsen, at least I'm told in the background by the broadcasting guard of Chris Hill, as he's telling me that he wants to be called from now on instead of Grandpa. But Chaumont down the Minstrel Straight a long time. This is the time, if you have a beverage open, that you could have a little bit of a sip of that. Just enjoying the noise and sounds of these machinery as we're going down into the Minstrel corner. Just a light tap of the brakes before turning in, as we're missing some action further down, but this is action further up. That's one of the CBSR cars in a little bit of a battle here with
DeGore of Optimum Motorsports, Michael DeGore, and Anthony Horst duking it out for 11th position currently at the minute, but it looks like Anthony did get a better run there and moving further up. He'll be setting his eyes on parties if he can get a break from DeGore at this point. Hard to say, as in the front that Pratco have made a huge gap on P2, 3.7 seconds across the line. Though Dumas is a little bit under pressure from Frank Hopp up there, but DeGore is still applying pressure, everything he can to Horst, trying to stick with him, doing the best he can. As Chris, I've been asked if you've turned my volume down, as
someone mentions that I've gone quiet, though I find that hard to believe that I've gone quiet. Apparently I might have stepped away from the mic, though that seems unlikely as well, as I haven't touched it all, and I'm wearing a headset. Milan Dumas, we're following here, Frank Hopp right behind. This is the battle for P2. They're very close together coming down the Minstrel Straight. Big draft. He's getting here almost a slingshot situation for Frank Hopp. Will he try the move? He's definitely moving to the inside here, or outside, sorry. Hard to get the run, but trying the switch back, though he doesn't get the overspeed as this brings Aaron Van Doren into the battle as well. Three-way battle, it turns out, for P2 early in the race still. But Mercedes, Ferrari and the Lamborghini up here battling very hard for this the second spot on the podium, as Pratco have run away with this so far. Fastest lap as well from Pratco. And P1 almost 4 seconds clear now of Milan Dumas. Last time over a split, it might increase, as Frank Hopp is now, instead of being on the offense, he's now on defense from Aaron Van Doren. Great battling up here in the top positions of the second split race. People say that I actually went quiet and now it's suddenly better.
Is this better out there?
Please don't reply to that, as that wasn't serious whatsoever. Van Doren chasing down Hopp and Dumas through the first couple of corners. We can see how stable that Mercedes is. Bit of a difficult one to control. It does by default require special driving style, as it is quite understeery. The Mercedes drive-through penalty already, the first one in this event. You can maybe put in your guesses of how many drive-throughs we'll see in the YouTube chat, and we'll try and keep a count of it. DeGore, the first one to catch the drive-through of track cuts, I believe. That's 4. Currently P12, we'll see him lose a lot of positions while he comes in to save that. 3 left to save it, of course. A little bit of a spread this time around on the Minstrel Straight. Dumas can maybe take a little bit of a brief, as first offering for the amount of drive-throughs are 10 drive-throughs being mentioned out there. Interesting to see if that will come true. Personally, I would guess about 7 or 8, but you never know. You honestly never know in a race like this around Paul Ricard, depending on how hard drivers feel like they have to push their cars and the limits off the track. Van Doren still pushing very hard for this. Not that many close battles on track. Most of the battles have spread out to about a second. We have the battle up here. There's a battle going on for 5th position, as well as Prixley is driving a little bit of a train there with Bart and Schenkelins and Tremblin behind. Fill down a bit of action as well. Ooh, it's actually getting very close here for 5th position. Prixley trying to make that Nissan as wide as possible in the classic Wild Things Racing livery of Richard Prixley. Livery designed by Denise Pope, I believe. Good livery design from her. They have turned into a more pink design of the recent cars, but still good liveries, the old classic ones here. I still think that the M4 that she designed a few years ago are one of the best that we have ever seen in the community. But not to put any pressure on any of the other livery designers, but that one was a good one. Prixley here getting haunted by Barnes, Schinkelins, Tremblin, and it looks like Rounter wins as well in close contention for this, as the Nissan gets onto the back straight where it can really stretch its legs. fast car in a straight line. Usually not that easy in the corners as it is an older car. As Chris found one of my favorite camera angles, looking down the rear end of the roof of the cars onto the rear wing. It doesn't look like that Bart is making that much of an inroad down the back straight. It might not be the place for Bart to catch up and attempt this, as he's lucky as well, he having the Porsche behind him. Usually not the fastest in a straight line, though. The latest update might have changed that quite a bit when the newer Porsche got released. Haven't driven that car personally as of yet, though it is on my to-do list. I can't tell you when I will have the time to actually get it done and drive the car. But I will get it done at some point, I assure you that. Actually rounding out the second to last corner here. This is a difficult one. A few different lines can be taken through the corner, which actually does allow for a very late send into the final corner if you play your cards correctly. At least with the lines that these drivers are taking. A big field spread now. Prexley 5.5 seconds down from P4 at the minute. 6 seconds separating the top two. Some spreads are happening around the field, but also closer battles happening further down. As well, Ghost Zero is being mentioned. That could be a song that none of us know of. I could sing you a little song here on the stream, but I don't think that would be appropriate for the time being. Still a close contention. It will be interesting to see if any of the drivers behind Richard Prexley might be considering jumping into the pits early and trying to undercut Richard. Though they would have to run the tires for a longer period of time, and most of these cars are likely fueled to run at least halfway into the race for the optimum strategy, though that could be dependent on what's going on. One car's off with a yellow flag. I think it's the 30 car that have gone off in the first corner. We've gone to the back of the field, unfortunately for him. I can't recall off of my weak memory of who it was. Mark Brockhoven, unfortunately, P29 at the minute, not last in the race as of yet. As a Bosch, he might have had a drive through. I think he is last next time they cross a split as he goes into 30th position. Unfortunate for him, and unfortunate that we don't know what happened to him. I truly hope that he can make up some positions, though he'll be chasing down Bosch at this time. And that will be his sole focus at the minute, to try and regain 29th overall in the race. Back up to the Prexley battle. As Hub also was close to Dumas last time down the back straight, but the Prexley battle is going on still. As it have been called, the battle for 5th position. Prexley, Bart, Shinklin, Tremlin still hanging on there, roughly in the background. I think that parties have dropped out of this fight ever so slightly, and Tremlin are also losing a little bit of touch to this battle. As we get the split screen view with the battle for P2 as well, with Milan Dumas, Frank Hub and Aaron Van Doren. In the bottom right hand corner on the top left we see Prexley, Shinklins and Bart. Bart obviously sick for that, so it would be Prexley, Bart and Shinklins if you take it in running order. Of course, both sets of battles have gone on to the back straight. Van Doren drops a little bit of time in the bottom screen and have dropped quite a way back. He might have been trying to save himself from a track warning there. Hub not close enough, it looks like, for the move into the Ministerial corner. Same thing goes on the top part of the stream, that Prexley just seems to have the legs on that BMW behind him. The Nissan doing a good job there with the Nissan engine, older engine, more horsepower usually, though he did lose a little bit there through the corner. Not the best entry, forcing Bart onto the inside there, going wide there. Almost had the move done. That did Bart Swinkling, oh sorry, Bart Swerik, Bart whatever. Bart almost had the move done, as he now have to concede the position to make Shinklins. Or does he? He's trying to fight it back up the inside through the next corner. Bart on the outside. Shinklins does have the better line there through this one, though. The next corner will be turning left. Will we see the return move? No, he does. It does look like he conceded that position. Prexley must be pleased with this outcome. That gives him a little bit of a breathing room. though he now have to contend with another driver being behind him. Sinklins might be trying some different stuff than Bart have done so far in this race. Good to see these drivers being so close to each other. I almost forgot about the bottom screen as Frank Hopp putting Milan Dumas under a lot of pressure. Though he does miss that corner a little bit, this could give Aaron Van Doren the run onto the Minstrel Straight. Doesn't look like that Van Doren got the greatest of exits there, but he can tuck into the slipstream and try for a slingshot move. I was just about to say we would follow the top left-hand side of the screen to see what would happen there, but Chris was too fast there. Van Doren doesn't seem to have the legs there on the that's the Lamborghini ahead of him being Frank Hopp. 9 minutes until the halfway point. We could potentially start to see some pit stops, as I think the 669 car have jumped into the pits to get it done early, maybe trying to catch some free air, or have he retired? Hard to say. Don't see any movements there, though I don't have a timer running on how long he has been stopped. Van Doren we saw last season in Tier 2 as well, battling for podium positions and race wins. Might be harder this season with Priatko just running away with it. He haven't pulled out as much of a lead over the last couple of laps as he did on the first, or at least on the initial laps, but I think that he have just started taking a little bit of a chill out there in front, controlling the gap, controlling the pace, just driving his own race. No need for him to push more than absolutely necessary. All of these drivers elect to go another lap. As they're coming into the first corner of the 11th lap of the race. That Lamborghini still going way in P3, but the Ferrari of Milan Dumas also doing a great job in this race. He was under a lot of pressure at the start due to the Ferrari's low acceleration stats, low acceleration abilities. For all you out there in the YouTube channel who definitely wants to correct my speech and language stuff. Going on full send as we see Sim Racing also giving us a little bit of a yellow wavy hand. I believe that's Sim Spinkling who's turned in to watch this event. Someone's going off the track there, and a Porsche Steve Parker might have picked up a position. Oh, was that a Porsche? Is that a McLaren? Hard to say because the resolution is a little bit low on my screen. But that I feel like Steve Parker gained a position there. Doing his best job in P17 to catch up to the Lamborghini of Balosol. Yes, you have to say it like that when it's Italian name. Stop focusing on hard to pronounce names, Chris. Balosol, oh, he's Switch. He's Swiss. Close enough. Nevertheless, remember to hit the like button out there on the YouTube channel. And do a shout out to your favorite drivers, then we might actually put them a little bit on the screen. And have some airtime for them. Back up to the battle. Bart have probably made a mistake there, as he have lost quite a bit of positions behind Sinklins and Tremblin at the minute, and a few seconds behind the battle with Prixley, the Prixley battle. Though Prixley and Sinklin still closely added together. As Bart elects to go into the pit, that's a cut off the pit line. So might want to report that if you are battling him for positions later in the race, and you could gain advantage out of that, just saying. But both Bart and Anthony to Horst also elects to box in at this point, trying for the undercut strategy. Last season in Tier 2 we have seen the undercut working wonders for some drivers. Not that efficient in Tier 1, but in the second split that did seem to be the optimum strategy. That's what I was seeing in the background. These cars look too similar in the lower view. Well, that's definitely Frank Hopp and... Is that Milan Dumas in the other car? That's Milan Dumas and Frank Hopp. Getting very close together and still at it. Van Doren have dropped a little bit out of the screen. As this time Frank does get a good run on Milan Dumas. Will he try it into the minstrel corner at the end of the back straight? Looks like he'll be trying for the outside move here. Not backing out of this one, keeping it on the outside though. Dumas had the inside line, getting the better traction out of that one. Fine attempt there from Frank Hopp, moving up from AM to silver from last season to this one. One of our favorite drivers on this on the broadcast, as we love to see him commentate as well in Tier 1 with his great Dutch accent. Shinklins we're following around this time, not for long. As we jump into the Frank Hopp Milan Dumar battle, very close. As yellow flags are being waved at the bottom of the track, the south end of the track. Not that we're looking at that whatsoever. That was the car 30. Still moving in here. Frank Hopp looking very tense for this one. He really wants to get the move done on Milan Dumar. This could be the silent pit lane as we are passing through some of the back markers or lower place drivers who've chosen to come in to take the pits at this time. I haven't paid much attention to drive-throughs being handed out further down the grid, but some could be suffering from that as well. Frank Hopp still very close to Milan Dumar. Into one of the trickier parts of the track. Overtakes are possible here, as we've seen earlier in the race. Slightly different lines through here, so it looks like Milan Dumar didn't make his correct apexes and take them as he wanted to, trying to go a little bit defensive, it looks like. Frank Hopp on a better line through the corner leading on to start-finish straight. He might actually have a little bit of a run this time around if the Lamborghini can stretch its legs against the Ferrari. A little bit far back, but I still think that he'll get the slipstream effect from this position. 441 and 30 contact for a second time, I think, is being mentioned in the YouTube chat. Though Frank Hopp and Milan Dumar on it again. Milan Dumar taking the apex or the racing line this time around, as Frank Hopp didn't go alongside him down the minstrel straight. Still such good drive between these two. I wonder if Frank Hopp will try and undercut Milan Dumar and force Milan into the pits earlier than he would like to. Lambo top speed as here, says Sam Spankelink. You can't say these words on in the YouTube. You have to say bottom part of the human body, which technically is the middle part of the human body if you are looking at it purely in measuring from centimeters top to bottom. Close through the final corner. We could see a dive into the pits. We didn't, as Aaron Van Duren is just lurking in the background waiting for a mistake. Tier 1 was without BOP though, right? Is being asked in the chat, and the answer to that is absolutely not. Both the tiers are with the LFM BOP that should keep the racing between the different cars a little bit closer than the standard BOP of the game. Just a tiny bit, as we get a little bit of a replay here of car 30, what happened there. Good job from our great camera guy, the camera guard of Chris Hill, finding the replay. Misses it ever so slightly the corner and just loses the back end. Easy to do around there, stationary in the middle of the track, doing the right thing, keeping his foot on the brakes, not forcing anything weird through there, as the pits have opened for real this time around. Round wins Jesse Van Dryle, Carl Van Horn into the pits. Round wins being further up the field than the two other ones, but Van Dryle and Van Horn, both fans or vans, depending on region, might be exiting close to each other. All stopped as movement are happening in the pits again. The 13 car Van Horn will exit further up the road than the others. This time around, Frank wasn't as close to Milan Dumar as we saw, have seen for the last couple of. Ooh, drive-through penalty there for Olsen. Olsen picking up the drive-through penalty at a crucial point, as he'll have to save the drive-through and a pit stop. That could doom his race quite a bit. I must say that these drivers are doing such a good job keeping these cars on track this far up. Not having received the too many track cuts, or maybe they have, hard to say, but they haven't received the drive-throughs yet. The Prixley battle still going on, as Schinkelins are the car applying the pressure to the Nissan of Richard Prixley. Schinkelins doing quite a good job of keeping up there. Sneeze Pope is also close to De Gore further back the field. Unfortunately, first, speaking of the Wild Things Racing, but Schinkelin's doing such a good job trying to keep up with Richard Prixley. Prixley being a little bit of a surprise in this tier, knowing how he has been going on in earlier seasons. So we didn't do the last season, and with the mandatory pre-season testing he might not have performed as well, and using the Nissan, you could probably understand why. Although it's good to see people using these lesser chosen cars, it makes for much nicer broadcasting to see a bunch of different cars out there. This time Schenkelen's really close to Prixley coming onto the minstrel straight. He will definitely try to tuck in as the pit windows have for real open this time around. A lot of people in as we're reaching the halfway point of the race in just a few seconds. As you can see, the Nissan just stretching its legs there on the Porsche of Schenkelen's. This might not be the place for Schenkelen's to attempt to move, but it just have to be close enough to Prixley to use the extra downforce of the much newer Porsche than the Nissan. Somewhere on a little, someplace on the tidier or trickier, tighter parts of the track. If I was Schenkelen's, I would definitely do the opposite of Prixley. Box one lap later or one lap earlier than Prixley, depending on what he's doing this time around, as he's getting very close to Prixley through this section of corners. Final sector of the track. Race leader have gone into the pit. Priatko only fueling for half of the race. Unlikely that his race lead will be touched unless if something happens to him, as a yellow flag is being shown as well down in after turn 2. A little bit interesting. Prixley jumps into the pits. Prixley in the pits. Frank Hopp in the pits as well, it looks like. Two of the main protagonists here coming into the pits. This could be interesting to see where they will come out, as the yellow flags are still waving as we're coming down here. It's Mark Brockhoven a little bit returning to garage there. Surprising place to be stopped. Unfortunate for him. Back onto the main straight. Craig Hill, who have saved his pit stop on the rear end of the 441 of Bosch, who haven't pitted yet. But remember, when you're coming out of the pits, even though that you're behind cars who haven't pitted yet, they don't have to concede the position to you. They will be racing for position. No blue flags at that point, unless if you go a lap down. Are you calling him prick? Who are we calling prick, Sim? Probably. We'll be calling everyone prick if you ask us to. Prick. Chris Hill is trying to correct me in the background, but I honestly don't care. He'll be Prixley if I say so, and not Pixley. Race leader coming out 9th position. Good position from Craig Hill, making the move there on the on Bosch. Though Bosch still yet to do his pit stop. Interesting to see if he'll be coming in this time. No, Bosch stays out so far. Craig Hill P20, a few people ahead of him who are yet to pit. Could be a few freebies for him. Oh well, he technically fought his way to the position, so no freebies for him. Honestly. Yes, Wild Things hate mail incoming. It wouldn't be the first time I get that from that team, to be honest. Dimitri Schenke and the beautiful green and black Ferrari, also a car that's easy to remember in broadcasting terms. Fun colors of the car. Stands out a little bit in the rest of the field. That's a lot of dark colors and white. Black, white and grey are obviously the easiest choices of livery designs, as they're easy to work with and everything goes great with them. As a WTR driver, I'll be adapting this Prixley name. Yes, do that. Do that. It's the best. And it won't be the last butchering of names we'll see this season, I promise you that. So, ooh, little bit loose there from Dimitri Schenk, though keeping it on track. This could mean that he's not pushing the car to absolute maximum of potential. Richardson also driving in, howling as this commentary, haha. It's not funny, I'm doing my best, goddammit. It's not easy when you don't have a commentary mate or beer buddy or something. Van Dijl currently last in the race, giving him a bit of screen time as well, the 27 car. Good job keeping it on track, though I do remember that he had a drive-through earlier in the race, and that might be why we see him so far down the pecking order. Must be the same for Brooklyn and Digore. I think Digore had a penalty as well earlier. Olsen into the pits. A lot of people are getting their pit stops out of the way. It looks like that Bosch might be one of the few drivers who haven't done it yet. As Parker and Olsen are currently in the pits, Parker will be leaving it shortly, as I think that he's moving in the on the track map. A lot of Chris also butchering names in the background, which confuses me a lot. Van Dryle doing a good job of just showing us how this McLaren is driven. It looks very stable when he's driving it. Unfortunately, he's not matching the times of the top drivers, but doing quite a good job of keeping it on track and keeping it very nice and stable. Not a lot of corrections in the steering wheel, and just overall smooth driving from Van Dryle. As that's basically what he needs to do, as there might be some traffic for him leaving pit exit. That's Olsen. Is that Olsen up ahead of him? It looks like Olsen's car at least. Van Dryle goes for the move. If that was for position, I feel like he might have gotten it. He's P28 on my screen. I feel like he did make the move there. Olsen driving down. Anthony to Horst with the drive-through penalty. Oh dearie me, he has been drinking too much already, and it's only the first race of the season. I feel like he'll have to do a few more after the race for doing that. Though on the plus side, Aaron Van Doren, his teammate, have passed Frank Hub in that pit sequence and moved into, well, P5, but it's technically P3 in the race. Milan Dumas seems to have been having a great pit stop round there and gaining a good amount of ground there on Van Doren. But unfortunately for Frank Hub, who seems to have had a terrible times in the pits. Don't know what went wrong there from Frank Hub. All of the drivers do have to change the tires. That is mandatory for this race. Barloso leading the race until he saves his pit stop, as it's Barloso and Bosch who needs to save the pit stops. Bosch in the pits at the minute. Same goes for Horst saving his drive-through penalty. Such a shame for him. His drunken teammate, his beer buddy, provisionally in P3 when Barloso finishes takes his pit stop. Bradco doing a good job there in second place at the minute, though he will be P1 after the pit round is completely finished. Just controlling the race from the front, as Sebastian Vettel used to be so good at back in the days of Formula 1. Although a lot of people in the YouTube channel might not be old enough to remember when he drove for Red Bull and was dominating in Formula 1. Nevertheless, Chris mentions that he does, but he's also known as Grandpa in the community, so he knows. Barloso in the pit lane, saving his pit stop. Interesting to see where he will fall back into line. It is a long pit lane on Paul Ricard. A lot of time is lost by pitting. Van Doren doesn't seem to have the same pace as Hub is closing the gap a little bit onto Van Doren for the battle of P2 in the race. In the 6.9 car, one of the Audi cars here, Vaughter wins 11th at the minute, very close to Tremlin in 10th position. This could be a battle for the top 10 position. Oh, the driver in the pits. This could be the battle for 9th position. We are actually following here, as it will be, as Vaughter Woods are 10th now after the pits. Question in the YouTube, guessing there are two classes in here, right? Yes, there are two classes each tier. Tier 1 will be the pros and semi-pros, and tier 2 will be the silvers and the AM drivers. This is tier 2 with the silver and the AM drivers, so a lot of these drivers might as well have been in the top class or top tier. What's the classes in here? This is silver and AM. Silver being the silver plated in the left-hand timing board, and the AM being the red and black. And yes, it is an AM driver who's leading the race, and yes, that is quite unusual, and yes, it have happened before in SSRI history that an AM driver have been dominating in the second tier, and it will probably happen this season again with Bradco as it looks at the minute. That's a back marker Audi in the background there behind Frank Hub. I was just about to say that seems a little bit unusual. Yes, he was probably a sandbagger in the preseason test, but This is Frank Hopp we're following around. A good 8 seconds clear of Richard Prixley. Yes, I'm going to say Prixley. For people out there, that is just his name from now on. But still within a second of Aaron van Doren, who does seem to be gapping him at the minute. Not that much, it could just have been a bad lap from Frank Hopp and the Lamborghini. But van Doren doing quite the job staying in P3 in that Mercedes machinery, though. Mercedes in P1 and P3. Bit hard to say really about the the split. What car is the best to actually be driving? As Anthony to Horst getting very close to. Is that Tim Neibauer ahead of him in an Audi? I think that's Tim Neibauer, who have also had a good race so far, gaining a lot of position, starting very far down the grid, but making a good inroads in this race up into P17 at the minute. With Horst chasing him down from behind like a drunk man, I mean madman, in the 969 machinery. And usually him and his teammate Aaron van Doren races the 69 car in endurance racing. Van Doren, the first guy to choose numbers apparently for the sprint, picking the 69, the nice time. As that's the battle over, basically. Tim Neibauer gets the drive-through. That's the third confirmed drive-through that we have seen so far. Unfortunate from Tim Neibauer there, as he just bails out of that one, lets Anthony through, so Anthony can continue his race on his own. Undisturbed from Tim Neibauer, though he is quite the distance behind Barloso. Ahead of him and Barloso on much fresher tires than to Horst. 5 seconds though, we know to Horst's pace. He could be catching up to Barloso at the end of the race, and maybe even challenging for top 15. Interesting to see if Horst can do that and live up to the expectations of a CBSR driver. Oh, and no, he can't. He spins it around and bends it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you shouldn't be drinking and driving at the same time. Probably didn't have enough time to put his beer down at the end of the Minnesota straight as the horse goes spinning violently out of control. This will put him down into, I believe that will be P20 for Torst. Yes, it is P20. If that means that Denise Pope will be the next driver behind, and Pope is also a little bit of skeforful there behind with Hubin. As we are speaking, I just saw that on the timing boards. Big mistake there from Te Horst. P15 definitely out of the question now, unless a lot of people get drive-throughs further up the road. As they're really bunching up behind, and they're bunching up here as well as his teammate. Van Doren is under a lot of pressure now from Frank Hopp. Oh, not a lot, but a reasonable amount of pressure, I should say. As Van Doren just does an Anthony Te Horst and spins the car halfway through, though he saves it. Wow, that was close from Van Doren, also showing that he might not have been drinking as heavily as Te Horst, but he definitely had a little bit inboard through this evening. This brought Frank very close to good evasive action as well there from Frank. Not collecting Van Doren. It could have been understandably why he would have. The CBSR cars showing that the Mercedes can spin as well. Now Frank will really have to take advantage of this, getting right up in the rear wing of that Mercedes up ahead of him. Staying as close as possible, trying to force even more mistakes out of Van Doren. As you know, Van Doren are normally a very calm and composed driver when he's in the driving seat. But Frank Hopp applying a lot of pressure. We can't always say the same about Frank, unfortunately. But he will be applying this pressure, trying to force the mistake, as that would be his best opportunity to make the move on Van Doren. As there comes the mistake, but unfortunately for Frank Hopp, it wasn't on a place where you could take full advantage of it, as Van Doren really covers that off. Yellow flags was shown somewhere, didn't really pick up on that. That's in turn 2, there's a yellow flag. Someone will definitely be dropping down the grid order. It's a 4 something car. Back straight action, down the Minnesota straight we go. This time Frank Hopp is definitely picking up some slipstream here from Van Doren. Will Van Doren be defending inside outside? He stays in the middle. and asks Frank Hop to take the decision on where he wants to go. Frank Hop have at this point overtaken coming into the minstrel corner. Will he keep the position? He's way ahead even before the slight dab of the brakes. Great move there from Frank Hop, as Van Doren is now being demoted into 4th position outside of the podium. Very unfortunate 2 laps here from Aaron Van Doren. Frank Hop taking full advantage of that drunk driving from Van Doren. Van Doren will be now pushing everything he have, try and retake this this final podium spot. As Van Doren, our driver that we would expect before the season to see up here. Also Frank Hop, who did some good driving last season in the AM class, winning that one quite convincingly, as I remember. Not entirely sure if that's fact or fiction, but I feel like he won it quite convincingly. Chris is saying that it's fact in the background, and people keeps mentioning how wrong I am with pronunciations. You know what? That's how it is, and that's the real names from now on. I have the powers of God to tell you people's actual names. Like Frank Hop, that's not even his real name, he's actually Frank Hoppers. They have become American, unfortunately. But anyways, back to the racing we go. Frank Hop still pulling out a little bit of a gap there, as Denise Pope is actually also in a bit of a fight further down the field. Same goes for Chaumont. Haven't seen much of those 2 drivers, as Pope have either overtaken Digore. No, she's still behind Digore. There was another drive through there from Bosch. I think that makes it 4 so far. But Pope was a lot closer. There must have been either a failed overtaking move done there from Pope, or a little bit of a mistake, as she have dropped more than a 10th down from Digore as she was through the last timing split. She's now 1.3 behind Digore. Unfortunate from the pink machinery of Denise Pope. One of the more standout liveries with the bright pink color. Good livery, I should say. It reminds me quite a bit of the Iron Dames livery with the roughly the same pink and black color combinations. Different sponsors, of course, as the Wild Things Racing on the side of these cars, and not Iron Dames, but quite similar. Another drive through there, I think that makes it 5. That's the guy that I'm not trying to pronounce the name of, because that will be butchered many times. As Denise, we see her coming onto the Minstrel Straight. Another yellow out there. Can't really tell the number. That's Walter Blitzmer. Unfortunately, it keeps spinning around. You got me spinning. Whoa. Got me spinning. Unfortunate to see the Honda there. We know that Grandpa Chris Hill loves the Honda himself. One of the major things way back in the days before SSRI, when it was SRHI, Chris Hill, the Dynamic Motorsports team, loving that Honda, driving it a lot on tracks. I drove the Honda myself, or was supposed to drive the Honda myself in an endurance race way back, but unfortunate circumstances made that I didn't get to drive that one. As Belitsma is currently under a lot of pressure from Barroso. I hope he's Italian, or is he the Swiss guy? I can't remember. We'll probably get to learn it better throughout the season. Belitsma coming into the pits, probably to get some fresh tires in that car. They must be murdered. He is obviously Swiss. I did seem to remember there was a funny named driver with a Swiss name. Though we go further up the field, seeing that Van Horn are not that much ahead of Steve Parker in the background in the Ferrari. This could be a battle that we could see throughout to the finish line between Van Horn and Steve Parker, 2 community legends as well, being involved in this racing for a long time. Experienced drivers, they both know how to go wheel-to-wheel racing and keep it clean. So it will be interesting to see if that will happen. Whoa, that's an Audi just bailing out the way. He's probably blue flagged at that point. Showing good respect for the car still racing for positions further up the field. YouTube chattering going on, but it's hard to following on as As I'm broadcasting, oh, that's the guy with the hard to pronounce last name. He must have been speeding in the pits as he now gotta stop. Go 30 that he'll have to serve as well. This could just be him done, as he is likely just to RTG as we saw him do there. Maybe even go out of the server since we got that mighty white scream of a camera breaking down. 10 minutes 30 seconds remaining of the race. Parker Olsen under pressure from Belitsma. No, that's an Audi behind him. That's an Audi that's definitely lapped, it seems like. Or is that Neibauer? No, they're actually battling for position. That's Neibauer and Olsen duking it out here for the secondary positions in the race. I was a little bit confused as I couldn't really read the timing board on the sides, but Parker Olsen making a move on Tim Neibauer. A little bit surprising to see Tim Neibauer this far down, looking on previous seasons of racing from Tim Neibauer and endurance results. Definitely been on for much better results earlier in his sim racing career, but the Audi might just have been too much for him to handle. Neibauer making an almost fool of himself trying to catch up to Olsen here. Really trying everything and pushing the car to its absolute limits and way above Hubin. We follow here. Pope have been breathing down the necks of Hubin for most of the race. Just having a little look on the YouTube chat. Remember, every time 99 is shown, his teammate has to drink. Get that Duvel ready gin. I hope he meant to say gin. That would be much nicer. Parties and Schinkelins are also battling for 7th and 8th, or are they just 7th and 8th? Someone's reminding me as well in YouTube. You could also have the drinking game that every time I have time to breathe, you should maybe choke your beer. It doesn't happen that often when I'm behind the microphone of these races. Yellow flag shown once again in the southern end of the track. Parties doing a good job still, keeping Schinkelins behind. A second scab he have created so far. Yellow flag still out, just coming up and removing again. That's the that's the yellow Porsche car. That's the yellow the yellow Audi McLaren car of Peter Brooklyn. Also one of the more fun cars to spot because it's easy to see. Unfortunate for Peter Brooklyn, also a driver that we remember fondly of previous seasons, being mentioned quite a bit. As we're seeing the 99 Hubin again, you better get your beers chucked out back there. Jumping up to Bart's, goddammit, just Bart. Still trying to find a way through Richard Prixley. Not seeming that easy for the BMW driver. Prixley still doing a good job just keeping that car on track, and I feel like that's all you have to do as Bart coming on. Trying the inside there, though not far enough alongside to actually get it done. Though still on the inside, taking the inside line now, trying to force it away from Prixley. Prixley forced a little bit wide there, both cars on track. Prixley on the inside line for the next corner. Good driving between these guys. Good, fair, clean racing so far. Prixley remains in front there, ever so slightly. Good attempt there from Bart, but I don't think this is over yet. 7 minutes to go of this battle. We could see, and I think the 99 cars being shown once again in the bottom right hand part of the screen. Keep drinking out there. Very close now from Bart and Prixley. Onto the start finish straight. They were almost having contact if it wasn't having contact there in the final corner. Should be doing this with a flu. But doing good job there. Don't do this great of a race when I'm having the flu. I can't really keep up with all this this great action. Just reminding you that we're still on the 99 down there and we have to keep drinking, and the 30 car causing yet another yellow flag. Not the greatest showing from him this time around. This time Bart is all over the back end of Richard Prixley coming onto the back straight. This could be the time, although it does seem like he had to lift off a little bit there from Bart. Prixley doing a good job with that Nissan, just keeping it in the right positions in the right times to maintain his 5th position. Superb driving from the Nissan driver. Not that often we see Nissans doing such a good job. Good speed there from Bart coming down the back straight. Looking behind from Bart down to Parties, very far in the background. This time Prixley goes wide there, that could be a track cut warning for him. He must be collecting some Bart on the inside, once again trying the same. This time it does go through. Bart Serink goes through Richard Prixley. This time he keeps the inside line for the next corner. Oh, Prixley makes a little bit of contact there, slots in behind once again. What a move from Bart this time, he actually got it done. Now it's whether or not that he can gain control of the car without having the Nissan to use as braking markers ahead of him, and whether or not that Prixley can make a return strike on this one. Bart trying to move to the right hand side early to break off some of the slipstream from Prixley. Confirmed over the start finish line, Prixley up into P5, oh sorry, Bart up into P5, Prixley demoted to P6 in this race. 5 minutes to go. This could be 3 laps of racing, as Puerto is still just running away with it in the front, 14 seconds to Milan Dumas. Not that often that Milan is being served that hard by another driver. Also still following the 99 in the right hand side of the screen, so keep your drinks going out there. This time Prixley doesn't seem to get the run onto the minstrel straight. With the dirty air coming through the corners, it could be a little bit difficult, as it does look like that the 99 machinery is under a bit of pressure from Tehorst, or Tehorst have made a mistake. I've dropped behind the 99 machinery of Hume. Or something's going on back there at least. That is Tehorst in the back of him, and Denise Pope also closing in on that battle. As that gets put onto the main screen at the minute. Don't know why Tehorst was pulling that aggressively onto the pit wall. Wonder if he's driving on a controller or something. That could be the answer to why he's down in 20th position. We have seen him further up the field throughout this race, but a drive-through penalty and a spin have definitely cost him a lot. Trying now on Huben. This is not the place to go for the move. He launches it up the inside there of Huben, and the Audi just moves out the way. The Mad Panda racing car behind, that's the race leader coming up behind them now, as Huben just moves out the way there very cleanly. That could open up the gap from Denise Pope. Denise Pope on Huben now. Down the Minstrel Straight. Drag racing conditions now. Pope will go very wide there, taking the track cut, but keeping her foot planted on the throttle. And getting the better of that drag race, though Huben's BMW might have the legs on Pope here, as it looks like that he's actually getting a little bit back on Pope. Going onto the outside there, a little bit of side drafting there now. They both get the ups of that into the Minstrel corner at the end of Minstrel Straight. Huben leaves a lot of respect there from Pope, giving her a lot of racing room, and retakes the position. Good driving there. Wait for track warning is being mentioned in the YouTube chat. Yes, I would do the same on this if I was on 3 warnings, of course, and I would probably have backed the fuck off. I mean, back the Suran off. Yes, that's the best kind of replacement swear word in the world. Pope will be doing her best to keep this going and trying to overtake Huben, as they both miss that apex a little bit. Pope misses it even more than Huben, as they will definitely be having a battle here. There's feel like just 1 lap remaining of the race, as the race leader have just crossed the start finish line. He might actually be fast enough to finish this one and start another one. Highly doubtful though, as Pope is still on this one, trying her best to get up there, as I think that Chris in the background is scouting out the drivers on track to try and find the closest battles to watch here in the final lap. And Andrew Puerto, Mad Panda Motorsports livery on that machinery, leading the race approximately on the final lap. It is the final lap, I feel like, actually. Doing such a good job on that 84 machinery, having led the race from start to finish almost. Only the pit stop sequence getting him out of that, flashing the lights. I feel like that he knows that we are watching him on the stream. He might be following with the stream in his ears in the background. Doing such a good job so far, controlling this race from start to finish. Really showcasing the true powers of his machine and his driving abilities. I hope that he'll be challenged a little bit more in the coming rounds of the SSRI GT3 Season 5 Championship. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not that he'll just be doing a dominant season and taking maximum points. It would be interesting if he could do that. Coming around here, using all of the lighting available on the car to showcase that. Moving it side view to save this one. Keep showing off all you want. If you've been into a wall, we'll all be laughing at you. But if you don't, great job, great drive. Final corner we go through. And this is it. Race 1 of the Tier 2 Championship. Race winner Andrew Pruatko. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to say that name too many times during the course of the season, as it's way too hard to pronounce. Great drive from him, taking P1. Milan Doma finishing in P2. Best silver driver in the race, Frank Hopp, takes control of P3 and final podium position, as Aaron Fedoran couldn't get the re-overtake done in 4th. Looks like that Bart kept Prixley behind for 5th position. Bart coming in, crossing the start-finish line, rounding out the top 5. Prixley in P5. Parties currently in 7th position, takes it home ahead of Schinkelins. Tremblin will be the 9th car crossing the start-finish line, uncontested from that position. Vaunter wins, will round out the top 10. The Belgium driver last season, we saw him with the Belgium flag liveried car. Good drive from him as well. P2 in AM class, Cohen Geens rounding out the podium in the AM class, 11th overall, though people have started exiting the server, so it will be very hard to remember where people finish. Craig Hill also finished the race. Few other drivers. Schenk will be the next one across the start-finish line. Was that a Canadian driver? That must be an awful time to race for him. Oh, and maybe it's not that bad actually, if he's get off work at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But anyways, but also the Swedish driver who led the race for a brief moment of time across the line, 14th. I don't think it is that people have left the server. Carl van Horn also coming in now. Remember to jump into the shed if you want to get interviewed live on stream. We would like to hear from as many people as possible, though we won't be sticking around for the entirety of the evening, unfortunately. Wow, what a race one. Frank Hopp in the booth. We'll just give it a little bit of a second here as we are rounding up. What a race we saw this evening. Great driving all around. Welcome to the booth, Frank Hopp. Great drive this evening, I must say.
Yeah, that was fun. I had a lot of fun, yeah.
A lot of action we saw from you throughout the race. I unfortunately didn't get a screenshot of the race, but wow. We saw a lot of you on the stream. Can you just put us through the immense battling that you have had throughout this first round of the SSRI GT3 Season 5 Championship?
That's a mouthful. So I had a really good start. So got into P2. First of all, I had a great qualifying. So I had a quickest lap I've ever driven here, so that's nice. Then I had a really good start. Came in second. Got a bit of a gap, and then I'm not quite sure what the guy who won, what his name exactly is. But he was so quick. He was like a lap quicker in the start than I was. And then Milan Dauma, he was right behind me, pushing at one point like crazy, and that was just so much fun. I thought he was quicker. I was able to keep up, and I then keep it in the toe on the straight. And then that was just immensely fun to go through that corner, like almost we were so close together. That was just amazing. And we kept it clean. That's also really nice, of course. So then 2 laps before I pitted, all of a sudden I lost pace. My rear tires started sliding, and that was it. So I pitted, had quite a bad pit stop, took quite a bit of time. Got back a couple of seconds behind Van, not quite sure what his full name is. And then I just tried to get into his toe, and that was quite hard actually because it was quick. But then I just had less wing on the straights. I guess I had 3 wing, so I was a bit quicker there than I could get into the toe, and I knew that on the straight I would be quicker. And then I thought, okay, now I'm past, I can drive away. And that just didn't happen. And then in the last few laps, that was those last corners were so fun.
Yeah.
Great kudos to him, because that was amazing driving as well.
Would you say that this was a race of 2 stories before and after the pits, as it was almost a 3 or 4-way battle before the pit stop round, and then coming out having to focus solely on Van Doren?
Oh yeah, well, that was, in a way. I mean, first of all, I think when Milan came up behind me, I knew he was quicker. He was quicker in practice. He was quicker in qualifying. So I thought, okay, well, if I can keep up, that would be great. And then this when I tried to sort of, because I lost him sometimes out of the toe, and then I could get back in, and that felt sort of less the same. That was a bit of the same distance that I had to Van Buren. All in all, amazing race. Had a lot of fun, and so happy to be third, because I thought I was a goner in the last, or what is it, in the third to last corner or so. So
great
amazing.
job. Moving on from Frank and on to Cohen Geens. Cohen, I do believe that you finished third in class in this opening round of the season. How did you find the action out there on track?
Quite great. It's a pity I was driving second, but then I lost in the pits. I lost quite some time. Then I was unfortunately I came in contact with Schenk. And then I had a little bit of damage that cost me something on the straight, so I wasn't able to catch up with my teammate, who ended up second. So all in all, great race, but I was expecting a little more, especially with qualifying. I had not a very good qualifying session.
No, but at least you got the top 3 in the AM class.
Yeah.
I think that we already established after round 1 that winning the aim class will be quite rough, with Predek doing such a good job, winning the race, dominating from start to finish. Now I pronounce him Predako. I have to remember to pronounce that correctly. But do you reckon that you'll have a shot to battle it out for at least P2 in the AM championship this season?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, would be great. We'll see. We'll see. Kota is not my cup of tea. I was pretty fast on Brands Hatch with practicing so far, but Kota is, especially with the McLaren, it's not the greatest track for the McLaren, I think.
No. Oh, I know. I have to drive it myself there. Maybe we can share setups. I have a somewhat reasonable setup sorted out so far. No, but I think a lot of people will struggle at Kota. We have seen quite a few already on the practice server, just from the few times that I've been there, not being able to go underneath the 207 mark, which is a little bit surprising, since most people on the practice server are the tier 1 drivers, and I would expect the low 206 race pace when we get there. But for you, even though that you might be struggling at Kota, do you reckon that we might get a little bit of a sneak peek onto another Cohen Geens podium?
You'll never know. We'll have to see. I don't know. I'll try my best to do it, but we'll see. I have no glass, how you say it, sphere to to predict the future. So no, I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it my best. So hopefully.
Well, we sure hope so. Before we move on from Cohen Geens, I just want to remember you, Cohen, that your first name means the cow in Danish.
Yeah, but
out there.
It's you have to pronounce this a little different. No, it's Koen.
Oh, it's Koen. We all know it.
If you pronounce it like if it's spelled like COON, it's a bit derogative that way. But that's how you pronounce it in my language. So yeah. It is what it is. Koen is great. It's fine.
You know, I do my best to butcher as many names as possible live on the broadcast. So don't feel too hard about it.
No, I've been called worse than Cow.
Oh, really?
So,
Really?
Yeah. No. It's all good. It's all good.
As we are joined in the small chat by another driver, I'm just trying to figure out where he finished in the race. It would be a Wouter wins of a P9 in the race, I believe.
Yeah, I thought at the end I was P10, but after the finish I noticed it was P9. So not sure if someone left right after the finish or I really
No.
got P9.
I don't think my official charts say that you are P9.
But P10 is good as well.
No, that's terrible.
I'm
terrible.
Mm.
You'll be whatever we make you to be.
Yeah.
Through this, we'll announce you race winner.
That's nice.
Can you maybe get us a little bit of an insight to what happened in your race?
In mine, well, the qualifying was more than I expected. I was P7, I think, but I couldn't keep up with the other guys. I was a bit pushing too hard, and I think after the second lap, I already got 3 warnings. So it wasn't really laid back, but well, I managed. I got hit once by a chap in a Ferrari. He gave me some 2 seconds damage in the first scene, but it was okay. And then afterwards, after the pit exit, I got hit by another driver, so that was a bit exciting. And after that, I had a little fight of it with Koen. He was a bit faster than me, or quite faster actually. But luckily, I could defend. I wasn't sure if I was going to defend because with the 3 track warnings, it was a bit of a risk. But in the end, we didn't hit each other, and I managed to stay in front of him. So happy bunny, as they say.
Yeah, well, with a top 10 finish in the first round, are you looking for improvements coming into Kota?
I hate Kota.
Oh, you're not alone. I think everyone hates Kota, but that's what will make it a great race to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
A lot of people who hate the same track will go racing at that particular track.
Last time I raced on that track was also with SSRI. I think my first season in the Bentley, and the Bentley felt much better than the McLaren in some corners. So I don't know, but we'll see. It is what it is. Maybe everyone will get 2 or 3 drive-throughs, and will it be exciting just until the end? Who knows?
And the pit lane can be tricky as well there. Last time I raced there, the pit board was taken out, so I didn't know. I hadn't practiced pit entry, so I basically raced into the pits, and when I exited the pits, I got DSQ'd because apparently going 110 kilometers in the pit lane are not allowed.
No, that's slightly too fast.
Also, I haven't driven that track in the dry for almost 2 years, so it will be interesting to see what will happen when we go on there. But before we let you go round to Winter, there's just one final question that I must ask you.
Yes.
And what are your opinion on the 2001 US invasion of Afghanistan?
Well, it's a pity they didn't send more Abrams tanks.
Most definitely. As we'll be moving on to the final guy in the commentary booth, Dimitri Schenk, who I have dragged in here personally because he was sat there loaning in the ACC chat. And maybe we'll get Dimitri to say a few words, and maybe he can tell us about how his race went, as I'm just struggling to find him here on the final results sheet.
As usual, Oliver. You know, somewhere down below.
Oh yes, most definitely.
No, it was fun. I wasn't in the voice actually for the commentary to be dragged in. So
no, I dragged you in anyway.
But I'm happy to be here. I was in the commentary in the voice chat, just waiting for have some fun during the race, see if somebody wanted to chat. But apparently, I was all alone. But I had a fun race. It was really nice. Good to be back. It's been quite a while for me, so it's really good to be back. It was. Well, my first race in a long while. It was clean racing. I had a little bit of door banging with Koen right after the pit stop and in the first couple of corners. And I thought he left me a little bit, maybe a little bit too little room. But I had a look at the replay, and I guess I could have left some room or pulled behind him earlier as well. So, but it was fun, no drama, and he finished ahead of me. So. well done to him as well. And for I think third in Glasgow, maybe second. I'm not sure. Well done.
Third in class. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
really nice.
And, Dimitri, while you're here,
did you see my donuts, Oliver?
no, unfortunately,
I had a
didn't.
donut to celebrate that I'm back. Unfortunately, it was in the last lap and 2 corners early, so it was right before I finished.
I feel like that Chris Hill forgot to put that on the stream. He probably noticed it, but thought like, nah, Oliver won't enjoy that way too much. But Dimitri, good thing that you mentioned up the voice chat during races, because I like to sit there as well in the tier 1 races and have a chat to people out there in the community while racing. So everyone out there who wishes to have someone to speak to during the races, normally it's not too much talking, but a few words might be said here and there. It is a good option to hang around in the ACC chat during races, so that you can get some maybe just a little bit of banter with the other guys, pre-race, post-race, maybe during the race, few comments on how your race is going to each other, and if you get into scruffy situations, it can be a little bit helpful as well. Just telling people what you're about to do if you're being lapped, for example, if you're going to a battle, going like, I'm sending this one.
Exactly, and especially during practice and in between the sessions, it's just real fun. I think to be in a voice chat and have a little chat with each other before you go racing. And during the race, usually it's a bit quieter, of course. But no, I think I enjoy it if there's some people in the voice chat. So well, I will be there next time in the voice, and hopefully I won't be the only one.
Most definitely, we highly recommend that. And Sam and Nart, don't bail off and do your own thing in the general chat. Please be in the ACC chat with the rest of us during the races. Crazy guys who think that they are not worthy of speaking to Mr. Warner Volleyball and Martin van der Gaan, as per usual in the Tier 1 races. But this has been a great evening of racing here on the SSRI YouTube channel. Round 1 of the SSRI GT3 Season 5 Championship are now completed. This was the Tier 2 event. Tier 1 was completed last week. So officially we are done with the first week of SSRI racing of the 5th season here on the channel. I've been your solo commentator, Mr. Warner Oliver. Joining me in the booth tonight, behind the cameras, have been Grandpa Chris Hill. And remember to tune in this Saturday at about noon, most places in the world, for in Europe at least, for the SSRI 10 hours of Silverstone endurance event. Not guaranteed that there will be broadcasting for the entirety of the event. We will do our best in the broadcasting community to try and figure something out. But hey, I hope to see as many people as possible out there in the chat supporting the racing events. Only broadcast will be there, but commentary might be a little bit But anyways, hello, good evening, good night, good afternoon, whatever you are, wherever you are in the world. I have been Mr. Warner Volleyball, and Chris Hill have been controlling the cameras. See you Saturday. Bye bye. Exit song. Ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba ba.